Hi, we're the MyMaps group, and this is our final project presentation. So the goal of the project was to make a map-based hypertext system where users can upload a map and place pins on the map to represent different locations. Each of these pins can contain a collection of documents, which include text, image, and folder nodes. When there are multiple pins on a given map, the user can create a route between a selection of pins and navigate between these pins using a route navigation interface. Overall, we would say that we met our goals to create a map-based hypertext system with maps, pins, and routes. Maps are created after a user uploads an image, which expands the potential use cases to allow for both real and fantasy maps. Pins provide an intuitive way to store one or more documents at a given location on the map, and these documents can be linked to other documents in the same pin or a different pin. The routes feature also creates an easy way to organize pins in a sequence and navigate through them while viewing the documents for each pin. Now we'll talk through some of the use cases for the app.
One potential use case would be to upload a map of a real-world place and create pins at different points of interest on the map. For example, a user could upload a map of the US and place pins at different locations around the country. The user could then add documents to each pin that are relevant to that location. A pin on Salt Lake City, for example, could include pictures of the city, text documents describing personal experiences or relevant information, essentially whatever the user would like to create. As you can see on this map, we wanted to create something to commemorate a family's cross-country road trip. We've added in pictures, journal entries, reviews, and relevant links for the user to enjoy later. And here we've uploaded an image of Brown's campus, and I want to add some pictures that I definitely took in some very specific places. We'll get a nice picture of Bluno. We'll add Bluno right over here. And we'll add Bluno's portrait. I can spell that. And now we have Bluno attached to our Brown University map. This form of hypermedia also lends itself well to the realm of storytelling. I can easily record details from my favorite TV show based on location and visualize where the characters went through the show. At each point, I can include plot points or descriptions, as well as images to round out the experience. So here, we can walk through Daenerys' takeover of Westeros throughout Game of Thrones. Or we can also create our own story. Like here, we could make pins, such as this one that's Pooh's house with Winnie the Pooh who wants to go to Christopher Robin's house where Christopher Robin has tea. We could go make a route, which I believe we've already done. There we go. And we can go navigate between the two.
With regards to the difficulties of this project, one difficult aspect of the project was making sure that our interface didn't become too complicated with the new menus and modals that we added for our features, like menus for pins and trails. Our pin menu had to be intuitive to use, but still have features for adding and viewing documents, as well as navigating between pins on a map without having to click on each pin on the map image. The menus for the trails were a little more complicated, with menus for creating trails, adding and removing pins from trails, reordering the pins in a given trail, viewing all of the current trails, and entering the navigation mode for a given trail. Once the user is inside navigation mode, we had to add a navigation menu for them to navigate between the pins in the trail that did not take up too much of the screen space so that they could still see the map and the pins. Overall, our new features required a lot of different menus, so it was difficult to add all of these menus and ensure that they were properly updated when changes to pins or routes were made. Another note is that when implementing the project, we made a little bit of a mistake because we set the properties, we set a child nodes property, for example, for each pin. And these child nodes, instead of being a list of, for example, the node IDs of each child, which is a node, the properties were instead inodes, making it more difficult to update the trails, pins, and nodes accordingly. So that was one of the other challenges we faced. In terms of broader ideas from the class, our project maintains the original functionality of an interconnected system of nodes, but builds in additional features for geospatial organization of the nodes on a map, and the routes feature that is similar to Dash's trails feature. We were inspired by the ability to organize nodes in a 2D space in Dash, and wanted to implement a similar spatial organization feature in our hypermedia system through the context of maps. We also added an extra feature to map nodes in the form of a text box for notes under the map image. This space can be used to jot down quick ideas or convey information that is relevant to the entire map. We were inspired by some of the annotation features that we have seen and thought that this was a good way to be able to annotate a map. We also maintained and adapted some of the hypermedia-related functionality from our previous project, like the search feature and graph view of links for document type nodes. Overall, we're excited that we were able to implement some new hypertext features to the project based on our learning from the semester. Thank you.